You did. That's what I was
I'd like to call this meeting of the Princeton City Council to order. I should say the special meeting of the Princeton City Council to order. Clerk call the roll.
Mayor Mabry.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
McCall.
Here.
And McCransky.
Here.
Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're going to go ahead and open the meeting for public comment. What was there on my part, I did not add that originally to the agenda, and so that's on me, but we did add it, and you'll have an opportunity to speak before the meeting here and then at the end of the meeting as well. We'd like to have you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less if possible. Please. Teresa, could you on? I'm not. Well, we didn't have that.
I can talk loud, so. I'm really excited to say my name.
I don't.
Teresa Whitnow, City Manager. First of all, thank you guys. It's very overwhelming. Thank you. I've struggled a little bit trying to figure out how I wanted to respond to the public and to our city employees, following what I and our employees have been put through the last few days. I went from feeling shocked to sad to angry to proud. Once I realized that, I changed my whole perspective on what I wanted to say today. I don't need to get up here and regurgitate all of my accomplishments to everybody or prove anything more. You recognize it, you see it, and you appreciate it, and I thank you all. So I just decided to get up here and speak from the heart today. I have loved this community since the day I stepped into City Hall, and my smile already starts. In the fall of 2019, for my full day of interviews with 4 different stakeholder groups. I remember it like it was yesterday. A group of department heads, council members at the time, community stakeholders, and union representatives. I knew absolutely nobody here, but I was taking a leap of faith. But the sincerity to learn about me and my style of leadership was a discussion I'll never forget, and I really hope my department heads never forget. I have not wavered from my promises to you that day to simply keep things going as normal and just be here to help guide you and listen. I could see that it really put everybody at ease when I said that. I'm not coming in to change everything. Little did I know at the time how much we love this community. And I say we because if you're a city manager, you get it. This job does not just affect me. It affects my entire family. They were accepted with open arms here. They love volunteering at community events with me. That's why Princeton has become my family's home, and we're so proud to say that anytime we get a chance. And this is what I do when I say I'm from Princeton. I smile. This job was not just a stepping stone for me. This was my final stop. I project love for this town everywhere I go. It's a beaming pride for me to say I'm from Princeton. I get so giddy when I see employees succeeding and being promoted within their department. I love welcoming new employees through our doors to start their mounds of paperwork for the onboarding process. Seeing new projects come together, or a new building going up, or a renovation finally getting completed that had been put off for years, or even a new curb being installed, or a brick street getting repaired. Yes, the stuff kind of excites me. My kids think it's weird. Or watching a new air burner operating that we've been the answer to everybody's prayers. Seeing our first responders heading out for a call, knowing they have the equipment that they need. Or even seeing a new dump truck drive down the road, a backhoe, a bucket truck, an ambulance, or a police car heading down the street that I know when it's going down the road, we didn't take out any debt for that. But there was one instance that I don't think I was ever so excited to experience. Those two shiny, new garbage trucks. They came rolling over those railroad tracks that day, just when we were down there dispersing the toast and getting them ready to go out to the residents. I got so excited. I believe I possibly could have even sprinted. I don't sprint, but I think I sprinted over to them just to see them and touch them. I could not believe they're actually here. But the reason I was excited on that is that was one of the items that I had wanted for so long, because I wanted you, not you guys, but the guys that were on the backs of those trucks, I wanted them off the backs of those trucks. And we waited so long for them to get here. Those are big things to me. Most people would assume the big things I would mention would be the development of Ollie's, or Aldi's, thank goodness, Main Street getting redone, or the depot parking lot. Well, that one is a big one because that's been on my nerves since I got here. That parking lot just drove me insane, so I'm grateful that it's done. All of these are big and very exciting to me, but simply because I knew I was a part of it. The employees have been waiting for some of this equipment for years, and the community has been waiting for these projects to finally be completed, all without taking out any more debt. One thing my coworkers all know about me: I'm a hands-on leader, not an iron fist dictator-style leader. That's not me. I'm going to get out there during the storm cleanup. I'm going to help deliver lunches to the crews, cleaning or assembling or helping with the garbage totes and getting them dispersed, remaining at work during COVID because I didn't know what would happen or what the state was going to mandate each day for our employees. They had to continue to work every single day. I volunteer with many community events and regularly thank the employees whatever I can, however I can, and I still don't do it enough. That's who I am. My parents taught me in school to treat the janitor with the same respect and appreciation as your principal. It takes a team that feels sincerely appreciated at all levels to continue to go above and beyond. We have a team that goes above and beyond right now, and we better do everything we can to keep them. I appreciate all of you more than you know. I've been in an unappreciated work environment before, and the absence of sincere appreciation and gratitude will result in a less than mediocre workforce with no commitment to the employer. My goal has always been to ensure our employees have the equipment and the training they need to do their job safely, effectively, and that they do not dread coming to work every day. I've been there. It's a terrible feeling. A lot of my staff have said that I don't want you to dread coming to work every day. We are finally in such a good groove. Yes, we've had our humps, we've had our hurdles, our growing pains, but we learn, we justify our reasonings for making change when it happens. It's called reevaluating or reassessing the situation. Have we all agreed on everything? No, and that's okay. But we come together in the end and we make things work. It's called communication through obstacles. That's what successful communities do. Operations at the city are now streamlined, tightened up, yet I keep an emphasis on teamwork. We're continually cross-training because we have such a small staff and have implemented backups for many of the job assignments and are focused on regulation and law. Administration is running very smoothly now, and not just at City Hall, but across all of our departments. For the first time in a long time, we are fully staffed. Their cohesion and camaraderie is such a positive and unique characteristic that we have here, and we better focus on maintaining that. You guys are one hell of a unit. part. I didn't ask for all this. I didn't ask to be plastered all over the news channels, the newspapers, or Facebook. Frankly, it was an embarrassment to me and my family. I didn't ask for this chaos, nor did my family, especially my 2 boys. All I can tell them is Mom did her best, and she's very proud of the job that she did. But it may not be exactly what a few people may have wanted. I'm proud, I'm confident to say I've done nothing but good for the employees in this community. As hard as the past 3 days have been, I've quickly realized and learned the impact I've had on our staff and on this community by the outpouring of support. My heart is broken, but it's also so full right now. Do I have goals moving forward? I certainly do. But for right now, employee appreciation and rebooting the positivity here at the city is first and foremost. Let's get back after it after this is all over.
Just state your name, please.
Good evening. I am Matthew Miller. I am the superintendent of fleet maintenance for the city of Princeton. At the end of the day, I'm the man in back. I fix stuff. It's what I do. I've only been with the city now just under 2 years. I brought with me 16 plus years of experience as a John Deere and ag mechanic prior to that, before my time at the city. It's my responsibility to work and communicate with all the department heads to maintain and repair the vehicles that the city owns and the equipment. You might wonder, what's this got to do with the mechanic? Well, it's simple. It's what I feel is right. And what's going on here, I feel, isn't. If all my standing up here does is paint a target on my back, then so be it. I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'll sleep better knowing it was said. I work very closely with the department heads in all departments: electric, fire, police, street, water, wastewater, and of course with Teresa. All I can say is it's been an awesome experience. I feel like we work together very well to provide the services necessary to keep this town running, and Teresa's leadership has been a huge part of that success. As I am a mechanic, I have to ask, what's broke? Why is this being done, and where's the communication? If the city truck comes in tomorrow for an oil change and I tell that department head that it needs a new engine, that news better come with an explanation. So again, what's broken? What's so out of whack that a special meeting had to be called without discussion, without notice? Obviously, there must be no reason, no explanation, no warning required. However, does that make it right? We work with Teresa every day, yet no one here has reached out to any of the department heads to express concerns or ask questions about the performance of our boss or our daily tasks. I feel the fact that this was brought on with such haste and without any discussion is highly disrespectful. It is disrespectful to us as employees, and it is disrespectful to the citizens in which we serve. I feel this type of action and lack of communication causes irreversible damage to the employee and public trust in the council's ability to make informed decisions, not to mention the damage to the morale of the city employees. You have got a great group of people here. I interact with many people from all the departments on a regular basis, and I truly feel that you're in good hands. In my opinion, the actions taken thus far look to be more like a personal vendetta against Teresa than a necessary action for some noteworthy reason. Again, if there were issues to warrant these actions, why have there not been discussions with the people that deal every day? And if the answer to that is, well, we don't have to, then I ask you again, does that make it right? In conclusion, I'll leave you this quote from an old hero of mine, John Wayne. Tomorrow is the most important thing in life. It comes into us at midnight, very clean. It is perfect when it arrives, and it puts itself in our hands, and it hopes we've learned something from yesterday. Tomorrow hopes we've learned something from yesterday. Yesterday is done. It's gone. You or I can't change that. Tomorrow, but we can change tomorrow. And you, the council, has that choice this evening. Tomorrow will reflect on us as a community in one of two ways. Tomorrow will either reflect that you as our council operate with haste and secrecy for whatever reason, or our tomorrow will reflect that you as our council can work together in teamwork and transparency and make informed decisions with the people in leadership and do what's right for the citizens of Princeton and the people who take care of them.
Hi, my name is Dave Schaus, and that's probably a pretty good segue to what I was talking about the future. I guess maybe this isn't the time for it because I'm kind of looking for answers. I guess one of the things that I don't understand is I look at this list of accomplishments, not only working with Teresa. I think she's done a really fine job. She and I haven't always seen eye to eye, but we always came out with a thing that was better for Princeton. So I guess one of my questions is, if we're here to remove her, what's the vision for Princeton moving forward? I guess I'm kind of looking to Ray or to the rest of the council. What are we doing to move forward? Are we replacing her? Because if we are, is this a matter of poor performance? Because I sure don't see that, nor have I experienced it. If we're cutting it back and not have that, then who are the department heads going to report to? And then where is their security in ever trying to take a position like that when every 2 to 4 years I got a new boss? I got to bring him in and train him about what I do because they hold my future. I think we're setting ourselves up for potentially only getting the weakest people that are willing to take that risk, not the ones that want to come buy a home and invest in their future in this community. So as a voter and everything, and just like Marty's getting ready to go off of this thing, if Marty was the guy that I report to next week or whenever he goes off, who do I report to if I'm one of the department heads or an employee? So I guess, and not to mention the fact that I live here, I want to know how this affects my family and me in this community, and I'm part of a business owner too. Can any of you give me any of those answers? Or for us voters, can you help us understand where we're going? Because right now I don't see it, and I'd love to support it. I just don't know what your vision is of the future. And I do believe, the Bible's right in Proverbs, where there is no vision, the people will perish. I don't want Princeton to perish. So, I guess I'm kind of looking for answers. And if it's a performance issue, a lawyer should answer this. My background's in HR a little bit, but I would hope she's been told what the goals were to start with, what the objectives are, or what she's not doing that's not meeting up to the standards. And so, can anybody answer that, or is this out of line to ask this question?
Sure. So we appreciate everybody making comments tonight, and we appreciate everyone making comments tonight. When the agenda came out, would be to go into executive session to discuss the employees' performance and concerns the council has. It's not just the mayor that called this meeting, it's council members individually that express concern. So we will be discussing things with Teresa, hoping to come to some resolution that's favorable for everybody. And there is a vision here, and I would just say that Again, we'll have the opportunity to go back in the other room and have some discussion and come back out and have some action. So that's all I'm going to say for right now. We typically don't respond, but we appreciate the public is anxious to hear something. I understand that. So
the vision certainly helps voters understand where we're going or not.
Absolutely.
You know, and how can we support the community in the city if we don't know where it's going?
Appreciate that. Again, my goal is not to respond to everybody who's going to be here all night in the sense of we'd like to hear your comments, and then we typically do not respond. I know it sounds like negative attitude, but appreciate it, Dave. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, the last thing I'll say is she's done a great job. We're making a mistake.
Thank you.
Not all council members requested this meeting. I did not.
And that's correct. I appreciate that.
My name is Victoria Yepson, and I serve as the Director of Tourism in the Tourism Department. I'm speaking today not only as a city employee, but also as someone who has had the privilege of working under the essential leadership of City Manager Teresa Whitnauer. I'm deeply concerned about item 5 on this evening's agenda stating determination of further employment with City Manager, and the lack of transparency leading up to this rushed meeting. Tonight's meeting also raises feelings of uncertainty and questions about how this decision will impact employee and public trust. The potential removal of our city manager risks disrupting a city government that is currently operating successfully under her leadership. Since Teresa Whitnauer took on the role in 2019, Princeton has experienced consistent forward momentum, eliminating approximately 70% of city debt, implementing major infrastructure improvements, and always advocating for the progression of our town's character and vitality. Teresa Whitnauer maintains daily communication with her departments and collaborates across virtually every city project, ensuring that Princeton stays on the path to long-term success. Her leadership and workplace knowledge are invaluable, and as a result, she has received only praise from the mayor and council members in public forums. The City of Princeton's department heads and employees who work closely with the city manager have not been given the opportunity to provide input or offer even basic feedback on her performance. The amount of people gathered here tonight is a testament to how well respected and valued she is by the City of Princeton, both employees and community members. As a city employee and a lifelong resident of Princeton, I'm respectfully asking the mayor and council to not move forward with this action until proper process is carried out and input is gathered from the voices of those who work directly with her every day. Leadership changes of this magnitude must be grounded in fairness, transparency, and respect, not only for the person at the center, but for the many employees and departments who will be affected. Thank you.
Former mayor of Princeton. I don't take any pleasure in reading what I'm going to read tonight, but I feel that the information that it is fact. I think you understand what this council Before I was mayor, I was a council member for 4 years. During that time, I visited with City Manager Jeff Clausen at least once a week for a one-on-one discussion of city business. When I was elected mayor, I visited with Rachel Skaggs, Jeff's replacement, about twice a week, and the same was true after Teresa was hired. All one-on-one voluntary visits on my part regarding the city. With that being said, and out of curiosity, I spoke with Teresa and asked her that in the 6 years that she and Hector have served together, how many times has he stopped in voluntarily to sit across the desk from her to talk about the city or any concerns he had, including concerns of Teresa? The answer, Zero one-on-one visits in 6 years. I asked the same question about Marty and Mike for the 4-year period they have served with Teresa. The reply was maybe once for Marty and 0 for Mike. Teresa tried to set up regular monthly appointments with all 3, but the most you could get out of them was about 3 times each. Combined between the 3 of them, maybe 10 one-on-one visits with Teresa in the past 4 years. Jerry's not included with this because he supports Teresa and meets with her regularly. Phone calls are rare. Hector has never called Teresa about city business. Mike and Marty have called her a few times with questions limited to chickens, food trucks, and UTV discussions. All issues long put to bed. Teresa eventually began sending weekly Friday emails to all council members, updating them on city business. Unfortunately, it does not take the place of one-on-one human contact and interaction between leaders and their managers. I bring all this up because the mayor gave an interview yesterday to Starved Rock Media in LaSalle and posted a story on their app with audible clips by Ray speaking. The headline, Princeton Mayor Gives Insight Around City Manager Job Performance. The mayor is recorded saying, quote, "So it's a combination of individual city council members that approached me and said that we should have a meeting with the city manager, discuss her performance, discuss some concerns we may have as individual council members and as mayor." The mayor went on to say that the council is likely to make a vote after tonight's closed session. My question to the council, what could you possibly be concerned with Teresa's job security or job performance? You don't know what she's thinking. You don't talk to her, and it appears clear you don't know her professionally. How will you justify any negative result when none of you have sat down with her to discuss issues you apparently have, which would have been the proper avenue to take? You meet with Teresa, you present your concerns, discuss the plan in motion, addressing the concerns, and then revisit in 3 to 6 months to gauge progress. This is the gold standard, and it was not done. Teresa has not been formally evaluated since Ray has been mayor. And the first time they want to discuss her performance is in closed session when the end of the game appears to be letting her go. I urge everyone to grab one of these. I don't know where they're located. They got them. See what Teresa's done for the last issue. She is, in my opinion, without question, Princeton's greatest asset. And by the way, I also asked Teresa how many times the mayor has stopped in to partake with her on one-on-one discussions about the city, or concerns he has regarding her performance. Her reply, 0. There have been no mayor and city manager one-on-one visits in 2 years. My recommendation to the council is to go into executive session, pause for a few moments, clear your minds, and search deep within yourself, and then touch your heart and do the right and just thing. If you do, you'll better work.
Hi, I'm Jackie Davis, a long-term resident of Princeton. I chose Princeton 44 years ago because it was a growing community. I stayed here through its ups and downs. I was here for the 80s mess. I was here for the water mahal. I've been here for when we couldn't count on some of our city services. In the last 7 years with our city managers and the last 5 years with Teresa, that has changed dramatically. Look at the fiscal responsibility. Every taxpayer should be thanking her. She has taken us from $43 million in debt to $13 million. Now think about that. When she gets us out of here, we will have the best streets and infrastructure in the northern Illinois area. She has found, I've been on zoning for 5 to 7 years, she found the ability, the money to hire a full-time zoning administrator. She has hired a full-time tourism person. We don't have anybody getting crunched in their jobs anymore. We have made all kinds of progress. And I would say to this board, I've served on a school board, a library board. I know about open meetings. And I have been to your meetings on and off for 7 years and never heard anything negative. The correct way to do this would have been to announce that you were going to be doing it, to have a closed session after a regularly scheduled meeting, have that out in front instead of trying to hide it and slip it away with a posted note on the city hall door. Your optics are horrible. Now, as a taxpayer, I would think I'd get better from this. I would think you'd be thinking ahead and think if we have something serious, we're going to do this right. And you haven't done it right. Does anybody here agree that a posted note on the front door does not give her a chance?
No.
From last Thursday. We don't say anything in an open meeting where people are standing around or that goes on record. No, we wait and we put it down on a Thursday, and then we expect that we can accomplish something, and we're going to be clear and optic for the citizens of Princeton. You're not. And we expect more from you, from each of you. The other problem you have with optics is you have a council member who is leaving in 2 weeks and a newly elected council member. If this were so darn important, wouldn't you wait and get on board with all your new council?
Amen. Yes.
We did it.
My name is Michael Ziering. I do planning and zoning here in Princeton. You can tell I'm nervous. Today marks 1 year of employment at the city of Princeton. Since joining the staff here, I can confidently say that our tremendous workplace culture, ability to pursue and achieve our goals, and the many notable successes which serve the city of Princeton residents can all be majorly attributed to Ms. Wittenauer. Day in and day out, Teresa greets us all with a smiling face and cheers us on as we seek to better the community through planning efforts, streets projects, life-saving measures, infrastructure undertakings, and so much more that we are able to produce as a unit. Teresa not only supports our goals, but ensures that what we wish to achieve is within budget, has sound reasoning, and is performed in good faith to the community. She is a transparent leader who opens her doors to any and all that need an ounce of time. She has made a home here in Princeton, and I truly feel that her love for the community grows with each passing week. In turn, she is loved and admired by the community in which she serves. One of Teresa's greatest strengths, in my opinion, is her ability to manage the many facets and personalities that embody the city government and the city staff, from the residents and businesses to employees and visitors alike. She was always available and ready to take on any task or decision presented to her. The team that she has been assembled under her, department heads and labor staff alike, is skilled, dedicated, transparent, helpful, and cooperative. To achieve anything deemed necessary, our team must collaborate constantly and seek approval and guidance from our leader. She has her hands in all projects, small or large, constantly steering them towards the best interest of the city and the community. I cannot stress this enough. Teresa is essential to our daily and long-term functionalities, and workplace morale under her leadership is soaring. I firmly believe that any city staffer would agree with this statement, and I encourage you to seek their input. Of her many successes, the tangible ones are easiest to point out. The depot parking lot, since my childhood a gravel wasteland, is now transformed into a beautiful area with further improvements on the way. Various parking lots and streets are freshly paved with quality materials and foundations to ensure lasting quality. The intersection of Maine and Peru, long forgotten by the state, is slated for construction in the coming weeks. Our debt, once over $40 million, is almost 70% paid off in just 5 short years, and no more has been taken on during her tenure. During a period of national economic hardship, she has managed to attract a new Aldi store without incentives, something the community has asked for decades. We have a new major employer in Ollie's Distribution and are gaining funds on the sale of that land by clever investment maneuvers taken by Ms. Wittenauer. The city experiences high number of tourists year after year thanks to the cooperation between Princeton entities working tremendously hard to create a vibrant community. Partnerships championed by the city manager. Her team, assembled via careful interview processes, continue to have a unified goal and are motivated to perform and produce under her leadership. Simply, she has taken to task the things that are important to our city, and we are seeing the fruits of her labor in many forms. I encourage you not to forget how successful her tenure has been when compared to others. There is no replacement that can promise the same performance metrics. I say this all to help you understand that Teresa is the leader whom I signed up to work under. She is strong, kind, thoughtful, energetic, organized, caring, truthful, virtuous, principled, and ethical. She always performs her duties with integrity. She is the best boss for which I have ever worked for, and it is an honor to be part of her staff. The city of Princeton would be at a severe loss if she were to be terminated. Her staff, myself included, will struggle greatly to perform our duties without her, for it is only under her leadership that our ship stays afloat and on course. Our image as a city has already been damaged severely by the mere notion of removing someone of her stature and abilities without due process nor widely perceived sound reasoning. Please do not continue to damage our reputation by following through with the removal of Ms. Wittenauer. Thank you.
I'm Rick Warren, and I've lived in town for a long time. I think I met this lady once. I'm going to compare this to the corporate world. These folks here are supporting their boss. You people are corporate. You get to decide her fate, just like corporate does. If you can't see the support here, what is wrong with you? Talk to the department heads and find out. Listen, look at her record. I have no horse in this race. This is personal for her. In the corporate world, you're a number. Trust me, for over 40 years, I was in the corporate world. You never got this kind of support for your boss. Listen to these folks.
Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is John Simonton, and it's Rick Senator. As you can tell, I'm a little bit emotional tonight. We've had a rough few days. I've never seen her like this before, and it was hard to console her. I'm looking at you, and the rest of you on here that put her under this kind of stress. You shouldn't do this. Ray, I know you. I know you well enough that you should be a good-hearted man, and I think you are. You mean well for this city. I've heard you speak in public and give her accolades to other community members, which is awesome. She had an informal evaluation about 1.5 years ago from most of the people on this council. She came home giddy, very smiling. She said, everybody gave me the thumbs up. We're going in the right direction. Thank you very much. And since then, the formal evaluation. But here we are. We thought it was going to be a performance evaluation tonight, but now we're looking at termination. I don't know how you can consider that. I have 41 years in law enforcement. with municipal, state, county government. I know how government works. It's not always efficient. But I held leadership roles in county and state government. I had the ability to hire and fire, develop policy, discipline, train, do everything that you do as a boss. One of the things I always revert back to is the employees. They're our greatest investment. Every decision I made was based on that greatest investment. Love her to death. I know she's one of your greatest investments here. One of your greatest investments. One of the greatest investments for this town. She works diligently. When we go on vacation, she's got her laptop in the car next to me while I'm driving and working. She takes it home on the weekend. She works at night. She loves this city. She is passionate about this job. I'm not going to stand up here and blast the council because 3 days ago I wanted to turn this into an MMA arena with all of you. That's not the right way to go about this. I want to be professional about it. So I'm going to talk to you about evaluations and what I did and what I think you should consider. Properly evaluate her. Your feedback from the department heads. What you may find out could be interesting, as I found out as a young supervisor, is during those evaluation process, which should be taken part every 2 years. That's just a paper copy after 2 years. During that time period, if you see anything needs to be improved on, that's when you talk to the employee. You don't wait for 2 years to talk to them. You have that correction action in place right away. If it's something good, give them a pat on the back or a thank you once in a while. How many of you employees here have had a thank you or a pat on the back from Teresa? Just go ahead and raise your hand. My philosophy always was that 90% of the time, it's going to be a thank you or a pat on the back. 10% of my time I had to spend with disciplinary issues and uncomfortable things that you don't want to as a boss. But I also found out during the evaluation period that there are times where I didn't communicate well with my employees. There were certain expectations that I thought I explained, but I didn't explain them very well. And I found that out in the evaluation feedback. I did reverse evaluations on myself and made sure the employees came in and gave me feedback, just as I did with them. And I found that out during those reverse evaluations. I believe Teresa just conducted that. She wants that feedback. She wants to improve. Even if you hear things that are uncomfortable, you want to improve. I'm asking the council to do just that. Introspectively, think about some of those things. Were you clear and concise with your expectations with her? If you weren't, have a chance for a redo here. Let's get back on track. Princeton's going in the right direction. I love this town. We bought a home here. We've got a family here. We've got some beautiful lifelong friends. We eat here. Buy our groceries here. We do everything. I love this town. I grew up in Mendota. Similar size, right? Anybody's been to Mendota lately, they're not progressing like Princeton. It's sad to see. Mendota doesn't have a city manager. They certainly don't have one of this quality. Many towns don't. I work throughout this state, work throughout the nation, met many municipal, county, and state employees, and community members, and councils, and county boards. She is by far and away the most diligent person I've ever seen in my life. And I know I'm biased when I say that, but I can see all of you in here, and I really appreciate your support and everybody coming. Secondly, I think Dave mentioned problem solving. What can we do here tonight? This is a problem that we need to solve, right? What's one of the first things you say to your department heads when they come in with an issue or something they want to purchase?
Give me options.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, or 3.
Bring in your problem, but you better bring in 2 or 3 solutions, right? And then you start discussing them. Bring in that problem, and let's talk about a few solutions collectively together. This is the teamwork that needs to happen right here between the council and Teresa. She's got it nailed down with these folks. From everything I've heard tonight, and I've met some of you, and I really appreciate your support of her, but I can see it. You don't always see this happening. This is the disconnect right here that needs to get reconnected. And I think you can do that. I know she wants to. She doesn't want to go anywhere. Our plans for her is to retire in this place. We love it. And she's doing a great job. Problem solving leads into teamwork, right? You're working together on a problem. You come together with a solution. It may not happen immediately, but she's going to make it happen. Because when you talk about problem solving, we talk about teamwork, there's some characteristics you look at. First of all, number one, is it beneficial to the city of Princeton? Yep. Mayor wants to repave 3 blocks of West 9th Street, let's say. Comes into Teresa and goes, you know what, I'm getting a lot of complaints from the constituents. We need to replace this road. It's going through a sack fender. People aren't even using that road anymore. They're going around. All right? Number one, is that beneficial to the city of Princeton? You bet it is. 2, fiscally, can we do this? Possibly, possibly not. Are there grants available? Do we have to invest? Do we have to get a loan? Whatever we need to work out, you can work out together financially. You have a street department, probably second to none. You can get out there and start working on the gutters, the sewer, the sidewalks that need to be replaced before the street even gets replaced at the same time. A lot of communities don't have that. You're very fortunate. You do a wonderful job here. Last thing I'm thinking about here. We need to find a solution here tonight. And I ask you, please, find it in your heart to talk to Teresa, do some problem solving, some introspection, reset goals, get things going in the right direction, keep things going in the right direction, I should say. I feel for you. You're elected officials, right? You're here part-time most of the time. You don't get to see Teresa a lot. I wish more of you would get to know her on a personal basis. Visit her once a week. I know it's tough. You probably have full-time jobs. I get it. That's why progressive cities like this have a city manager, somebody with professional experience to handle the budget, to handle HR, to handle the purchasing agreements, to handle the department heads. Because you don't have time to do that. But you have to communicate so you can work well together. There's more I wanted to say, but I think I've made my point. I think everybody else here does too. I want this to work out. And in my heart, I think it will. Thank you for your time.
Well, I guess as listening to everybody, it kind of brings up more questions again for me. But I also come from a corporate world, and I see people come and go. And sometimes it's not good for the organization or for a city. And sometimes it is. But I guess kind of going back again to my question is earlier about what's the vision for Princeton? How do we move forward? After listening to Joel speak today about if we're not going to refill the city manager, who are the department heads going to work for? It's my understanding it used to be that it's worked for the city council. So hearing that Hector is not senior in 6 years or something like that, who's going to evaluate these people? Who's going to tell them they're doing a good job? What needs to change? What qualifies you to even do any of that stuff? So there's a lot of questions. And again, as a taxpayer and business owner here, I want to know what confidence I have in us moving forward in this city when it sounds like if we're not replacing her, and which I don't understand that either, but if it's not a foregone conclusion, we've got somebody else in mind, how do we have confidence in where we're going when I don't understand where the future of Princeton is? I don't know if anybody else shares that or not, but I'd like to know.
Thank you.
I had no intentions of making a comment tonight. This is the first city council meeting I've ever been to. I'm born and raised in Princeton, and I didn't even know that statements were allowed until I sat in that chair there. So not only was I wasn't really planning to, first time being here, wasn't planning to be in the front row either. But I'm here. I'm genuinely curious, knowing that the the city employees here tonight were not required to be here? I'm new here.
No.
How many of the city employees are here tonight? Raise your hand. Keep your hands up if you were born and raised in Princeton, in Barrow County, in Princeton. Born and raised, proud, right? I think that visual is helpful, and knowing that Teresa, as their leader, carried them through. But like, what is the blow to morale if her position is terminated or replaced? Significant. Can't build back a team like this. Thanks.
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
I'm probably the least person who needs to take your time to go to that microphone. I've been a resident for 37 years and a taxpayer. And I'm impressed with two things about Teresa, and I've only spoken to her, I think, 3 times in my life. And by the way, my name's Kent Parrish. I'm impressed with reducing the debt from $42 million to $14 million. That is impressive. Yes, it is. And in my very few occasions speaking to Teresa about very nebulous, probably petty things, she has been so nice. She is so courteous over the phone. And I just would like to commend her for her personality and for her professionalism to be able to reduce the debt $28 million. Thank you.
Very good. Any additional comments? We will come back. When we get out of the executive session, we'll come back and have more discussion. You'll be able to make comments at that time as well. Okay. Very good. And just for clarification, I do have a standing meeting every Thursday at 9 a.m. with Teresa, and that was a suggestion that she brought to the table with the idea that we've been doing that for probably over a year now, maybe a year and a half. No, maybe not quite, but so we have progressed in that respect. So every Thursday, 9 a.m., we enjoy our time. We meet with the city clerk, passes with Pete Nelson as well as Janet Henning, and then we include Michael Zuring in the meeting, and who else? Teresa, yeah, obviously Teresa. Yeah. So we have a chance for the mayor to get caught up, so to speak, and that's what she does. Also,
tactical meeting, not a one-on-one. So that's a tactical meeting, not a one-on-one, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well,
I think you'll keep having those meetings?
Negative feedback.
absolutely, those are critical meetings. I get that.
So she'll be here still then?
You know, I appreciate asking that question, but we're going to go into council and we have council members that want to express their concerns, and tonight was a great opportunity for you folks to express your concerns to the council. I think at this point then, we're going to go ahead and adjourn into executive session.
I move that we convene into executive session under Illinois statutes to discuss issues of personnel.
Got a motion second. Clerk call roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Mabry.
Aye. So the meeting is still held open. We'll be back out here. Not sure the exact time, but we're going to go back and have a good discussion with Teresa, please.
The weather going to be there. Right, yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. I know. I took a That was a good question, though. Yeah. We'll follow it.
Instead of the known vote.
Oh, you're okay.
Show up I bailed before I got my Is it hard enough for us to judge the
Who decided about that?
We're going
How are you? Yeah. What? Ready? Yes. I knew it had cheating had to be part of that. I probably accidentally told like the emergency line, so at least they're all pretty much here, so. Oh yeah, all recorded. All recorded. No. I think it was I'm not trying to make a statement. But I know that's exactly what they're going to come out. Struggling here. I know. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe. That might be
They're back. Right. Yeah, it gives me 100% I'm so happy you did that. Yeah, me too. And then laughing. Well, yeah. Minutes in it. Things like spices, the Mr. Colony. I was like, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do. Right, that's the chickens in the bow. Yeah.
My grandmother was
But so, I don't know what you mean in this.
Yeah,
because if they were going to they're going to he was second. He was Princeton. So he's logical. But Ray wanted he's always wanted engineering. I know that. And that person would share that engineer with others.
What's that? Well, I'm thinking about learning how to drill. I mean, I want to learn to drill.
You're still running around? Is that right?
Well, this is the record for
Right there, you interrupted me.
Hey, they're back. They're back.
It'll be just a moment. Some of the council members went to the restroom. Okay, we're back into our special meeting session. I'd like to make a couple comments, and I'm going to ask the council members as well if they'd like to make some comments. So, when we called this meeting, it was under the...
We can't hear very well.
Okay, very good. So my mic is on. So we called this meeting, it was the understanding that we were going to discuss the city manager's performance. We had questions to ask her, and in that process, we had the opportunity to possibly be able to vote at the end of that meeting. So in that process, I know it created a lot of additional drama that I look back and that was not necessary to have that drama. So I will take the ding on that. I would just say that, first off then, with that said, in our conversation with Teresa, we've come to a good agreement of what we move forward with. That's going to continue to have better communication on the side of the council members, including the mayor, and then Teresa also is going to communicate with us if we have any concerns or over. We appreciate we get a weekly report from her that she's going to continue to utilize to communicate to us. So with that said, for me as mayor, my full confidence is in moving forward with Teresa Wittenauer as our city manager, continue on with her. And I told her in executive session, I apologize to her, but I also want to apologize to her now in public and say, Teresa, we could as a council handle this better, and I could have as a mayor handled it better. So I apologize to you, I apologize to John, and we're going to move forward. I appreciate the employees coming forward and expressing their support to Teresa, and that's a fantastic thing. We appreciate that. So with that said, I'd like to ask the council members just make any additional comments, if you would, please.
I just want to say that it's been kind of an ordeal, and to always get supporter we knew as far as the job is concerned. There's still some things with me that I would say that we're going to work through to make sure that all things get done properly. And I will say, nobody from the city or any departments within the county or any government or companies, any personal issues do not address as transparency. And you can even ask your former mayor up back there. We do not discuss any personal issues in order to protect them as well. Okay? But again, Teresa and I, we're going to be working with in there, even though they say that I don't come and visit, I do. I go visit the sites where city workers are working. They may not know it, but I do things evaluating a little differently. And I do come to the office. So I'm pretty involved regardless of what has been stated here before. And my personal apologies for everything that has transpired from this. We have gotten it pretty bad as well. And that's not why the decision is being made. It is consensus of talking to Teresa, the mayor, and the rest of our council of what needs to get done. So, thank you everybody for coming.
We're going to probably say a lot of the same things as a council. We talked quite a bit in there and hashed out a lot of things. This was never a vendetta, and I agree with Hector that, in discussing personal issues that we couldn't express what this meeting was about, and that we were going to go into special session and we were going to discuss these things there. This was never any vendetta or anything personal about Teresa. I've supported Teresa for the 2 years that I've been on the council, so this was never any personal vendetta. And anything that might have been said in social media was wrong about this council. And so I feel bad about that, and I'm again sorry, Teresa, and to your family for how this turned out. This was not the way I expected it to go. So I think that's all.
Thank you, Marty. Let's go to Jerry.
I'm very happy to have served on the city council and served the people of Princeton for 10 years. And this is the third mayor that I've served with over those years. And it's also the second city manager that I have served with. And I have to say, without any reservations, that Teresa has done an amazing job with what she had available to her. She can manage a budget better than anybody I have ever met, and we have succeeded in so many ways because of her conservative way that she manages her budget, the way she prioritizes that money to provide for projects that are truly important. And we have a group of employees here that worship her, and what could be better than that? So I'm sorry this whole thing happened. It was a surprise to me when this meeting was called, but I'm glad that it all worked out. Thank you, Teresa.
I think I'll mimic what everybody else said to this is blown out of proportion. I'll just call it the keyboard warriors of Facebook. I think I had 4 or 5 emails and 2 phone calls. So all I'm going to say is in the future, when I voice your opinion, call us, email us, text us. That's what our numbers are there for. Try to call everybody back. Sometimes we're busy at work. We have to get to you later. I get it. But again, this was handled wrongly. I apologize to Teresa as well. This is kind of an embarrassment the way it's ended up. But I think it got blown out of proportion the way it was, that we could word things differently. We've come to an agreement that we're going to move forward. the right thing to do, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. It's covers everything.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. With that said, Teresa?
Is there public comment?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We do have public comment period at this time. Is there a mic with comment?
I do. I'm gonna make it short and sweet. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there anyone else like to make comment? Otherwise, we're going to go home.
Fantastic.
Seeing none, is there a motion to close this meeting?
I move that we adjourn our special meeting this evening and reconvene for our next scheduled council meeting on Monday, April 21st, 2025, 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Second. Motion second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Newman.
Aye.
Gomez.
Aye.
McCall.
Aye.
McCransky.
Aye.
And Mayor Bay.
Aye. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
What'd you say?
Today is a
Okay, sounds good. Yep.
They're squeezing my neck.
All right. You've been looking the dog. Yeah. Everybody's been commenting on that tonight.
I'm trying.
What do you want? What do you want next week, Scott? What do you want next week? Surprise you? There. How you doing, buddy? Good. Yeah. Good. I asked him. I said, "Was he there?" He said, "No." Didn't even save him a little bit. Huh? All right, buddy. We'll hook you up. Good. How are you? How are you? Not bad, you? Good. Good. No, they don't. Me too. Because I'm a fire chief. Can you explain why? Yeah. Good to see you. Unloading.
Okay.
I'll let you go eat your lunch. I was just back. I was just waiting for everybody to clear out.
You gonna stop this? I know. There you go. I would. 500 viewers. 500? That's hard. I'm good. How are you? Yeah, no problem.
I hope so too. Every year, yeah.
Good. Good. Got that new hip. I'm ready to go now. Good. Good for you. All right. So who's doing the communication line?
I heard that when it went on.
George, nice to see you. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you fight this fight.
You just roll it down.
Oh, that's nothing. I put up with her for 35 years now. This is just a walk in the park.